right, good evening and welcome back to the Leverage Advantage Show. Today we're very honored, we're very humble and very grateful to have Dr. Bruce Parker, who is the founder of Bruce Parker Consulting, a company that provides coaching services for chiropractors. Now, Dr. Bruce started his career as a chiropractor in solo practice, but over the course of 17 years, he's developed and expanded and managed multi-site chain of chiropractic clinics that grew from 6 small clinics to 13, which was unique in the industry. Now, the success, growth, and profitability of this operation allowed for additional expansion and partnering with other chiropractors, including recent graduates, as well as recruiting, training, and managing, and motivating other practitioners to succeed within the system. Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Bruce. I'd love to hear your story from your perspective, from your angle. Can you share a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
I'd love to, and it's great meeting you, and it's an honor to have you ask me to speak for you. So let's get to it. I could go really long on this, or I could go really short on it because it's a story I lived. And what I mean by that is I came up the ranks. I was in college, and I was doing my career was going to be in financial planning, and I started having some health challenges. Lo and behold, I discovered chiropractic, which fixed a problem that was not being resolved for over 3 years. And I said, well, shoot, I'm going to go with the winners. So I decided to become one. And I learned a lot and about the profession. And at the time, that was back in the early 70s, or late 60s, early 70s. So chiropractic was known as, charlatans and quacks. They didn't really know they existed. That people thought, they said, I don't believe in chiropractors. And it was kind of a whole different world back then. But it was certainly a different discipline and a different philosophy in life, which I've taken that same philosophy and applied to business relationships, my businesses, as well as healthcare. Opening up my first practice was miserable for me because I hit a world that didn't really know what we were all about, and I found myself defending what I did way more than doing what I did, and I noticed people having a hard time, and so my natural thinking is to re-engineer, and I go, so what is it that the people need to know to come and see me? I mean, why is it that everybody's so afraid of walking through my doors? And I was young when I first started practicing, and I looked even younger. So I started growing my hair longer, and I grew a mustache, thinking I'd look older. And people say, well, you practice with that long hair and a mustache? And I said, what difference does it make? When I walk into the room, anything less than a tambourine and a snake to charm people, I'm ahead. Because pretty much the perception of what we were was not really understood. So I had this great idea, this great practice in mind, and a way to help people become optimal health. And I wanted to get it out to the world because it had changed my life. It literally had changed my life at a young age. So I started re-engineering the whole idea. What do people need to know in order to want to have our services? And so I started figuring that out and started getting my message very clear about what I did. Probably, if anybody is on this listening to this and is not in the profession or around the profession, if I said I'm a chiropractor, in most cases they might say, well, you rub backs or you crack backs. That's kind of the public perception. And what we do basically is remove interference from brain to tissue cell. When there's interference in anything, then that causes a state of what's called dis-ease, and dis-ease then becomes disease. So in relationships, we start off in love with someone, and all of a sudden we're fighting like cats and dogs. What happened? Something was misunderstood, and there was an interference in communication, and it created dis-ease. And if it doesn't get cleared up, it becomes disease. In business, same thing. We have a business that's not working. Why? What's happening from people coming in to going out? And I started applying this whole philosophy of interference to my practice. And as I did, it started getting big. When other people were having trouble getting new patients, I was having trouble processing all the patients I was getting. So I had to learn, I knew early on, I didn't really know what business I was in yet, and I had to figure it out. And I started doing this, and I started getting my message very clear, very precise, and my big promise to the community of what I did was very clear. And with that, I opened one clinic, then 2, then 3, then 5. I never had more than 7 operating at once, because I started later selling. I started bringing in doctors to work for me, and then I would sell them the practice already up and going. And it became a good start for them and a good income for me. So it was a win-win situation. So I went with it. And that's how I got started.
That's amazing, Dr. Bruce. Like your story really reminds me of the fact that a lot of people don't know this. Especially a lot of people with the technical expertise, doctors, dentists, even chefs, they don't understand that that in essence it's a business, right? So in order for that business to succeed, there are 2 main components. The first component is technical expertise. Of course, you got to be great at what you do, but don't we all know so many doctors, dentists, and even cooks that are really great at what they do, or like a dentist that's excellent at what he does, but nobody walks through their door. So the other bit of expertise is just as important, right? I even know some restaurants where the food isn't that great, but they've always got a line, right? And so
It created an environment.
Exactly. And so I love what you do. Like what I think so many more people need to know what you do. And one of the things that you mentioned, the message and the big promise, these are 2 big things. Like, what can doctors and dentists do to get people through their door at least the first time, so they can start educating their customers about why they need them more? What are the essential parts of the Dr. Bruce system in getting a clinic successful and then being able to sell it off?
Well, it's an interesting question, because the truth is, I'm editing my book right now. Right before I'm talking to you, I just wrote a new book, and I'm editing it. And I was just about this question, and what was it about me versus everybody else at the time? And people were trying to take their business and meld it into what the public thinks they want, versus taking their business and offering something new and different and unique to the public, and because people are always searching for new alternatives. And yet, like in chiropractic, the foundation of chiropractic was anti-medicine, not really anti-medicine, but anti-drugs and invasiveness. We found that by restoring the body's natural function, the health would restore, rather than giving pills, potions, or lotions to cover up pain or maladies. And so as the public came in, the people that didn't really have the passion for what they did, they would try to water down what they did and look more medical-like. Like, oh, your back hurts? Well, let me rub that a little bit, or let me give you an exercise, or let me give you a supplement, or let's take something to get rid of that pain, rather than taking the time and loving them enough to educate them to a symptom as a sign of something's wrong. And we don't want to cover that. You don't take your car, if it's got, like, the oil light comes on, you don't put a Band-Aid over the oil light. You say, oh my God, we're getting low on oil. And you go to address the problem. So when the body has a pain or a problem, we want to, first of all, address what the warning sign is and find out what it is. So in my system, I come from that point of view all the way through. I've got to have, number one, the owner of the business, and I'm working now with all professional service providers, because there's people out there that are doing great work in alternative well care type scenarios that can actually transform lives if people would follow their system. But they usually give up on a system too fast. They look for too quick of a result. They look for what I call a commodity care. They want to go in and lose weight. They want to lose 5 pounds, which is a commodity, and someone sells them some potions. Don't eat for a week and you'll lose 5 pounds. Well, that's not that's not a healthy way to lose weight. Or take a pill or eat a candy bar that's low on sugar to lose weight, rather than eating good food. So healthcare has become a commodity, and people are always trying to get quick fixes. And I stated the idea of transformation. And I said, if anything worth having is worth working for. And so I had my clients always working on a process of taking them from where they are to where they want to be. So my system is exactly that. In the business part, a patient walks through the door or a customer walks through the door, we have a planned program for them to follow that when they go through, they'll come out the other side understanding why they're there, understanding the benefits that we offer, understanding why they should stay and become involved and enroll into our culture. And lastly, understand the power of payment, because so many healthcare things are trying to be sloughed off on insurance and having somebody else paying for it. I have found that people that pay for their own care get better. They got skin in the game. When someone else is trying to pay for you, they don't get engaged and they don't do that. So really, my system's not magical. It's just a process of consistency, of getting a good message across.
That's fantastic. And you mentioned that you were originally in the financial planning industry, and then you saw the potential of the chiropractic industry. And that was so long ago. Like you mentioned, that was in the late 60s, where, I think even in Singapore, chiropractic practice really hasn't really taken off, but I think the knowledge and awareness is increasing. But what was that turning point for you when you realized that this business skill, which I understand is actually transferable? If you can do it for chiropractic clinics, you can do it for GPs, you can do it for dentists, you can do it for other industries as well. But what was that turning point for you when you realized that was what was a unique asset that you had?
So I'm in the financial industry. I'm 18 years old, 19 years old. I'm selling life insurance and doing financial planning. I was a surfer and a motocross racer, and I liked excitement, and I didn't like talking about death all day. I'm being honest. I'm very transparent. And I didn't find, it just didn't juice me up. Today, I am really, really, part of my program is what I call wealth development, helping people really understand, getting people understanding the business aspect at an early age, so they start having the effects of compounding savings and operating on a budget. So all the financial stuff I use today, but as just selling financial tools, it wasn't for me. It didn't light my fire. I didn't feel like I was changing anything. And when I discovered, this thing called this healthcare thing, I realized, that this was world changing. It was life affirming. And in fact, my goal when I came out of school was literally to change the world from that of being the healthcare perception of mechanistic, taking pills and potions to cover up, sickness, into vitalistic, becoming more vital, being more whole, more well care. And I wanted that to happen in my lifetime. And I'm still on that mission today. I'm 67. I got the energy of a lot younger person because I live a healthy, well-care lifestyle. So I try to be an example of my message. And that's what I stuck with. It became my purpose for being, I guess, as you would say.
Awesome. And so do you have any big tips or advice when it comes to creating leverage for a business? How can a business create more leverage?
How much time we got?
We can go for as long as you want.
This is my thing. The question you're asking right now, you're asking, a guy to say 2 words about something that he's passionate about. But I looked at one thing. I see a lot of people in business complaining about a few things. Not enough new business, not enough money, not enough spare time. And it seems to be across the board with entrepreneurs, And so I re-engineered that too. And I realized that there was, 5 phases to building a business. The first phase is establishment. And in the establishment phase, you put in all the factors that'll give your business stability. The second thing is leverage, which is bringing more people in to maximize the ability to render services through other people, which allow the owner more time to market and to spread their authority. Because what I like to do in all businesses is I like my clients to become authorities. Become the authority for their niche in their communities, so people search them out. And I have the owner doctor, doing more, writing a book, doing speeches and so while he's doing that, or she, obviously, the business goes on. I was traveling once. The first time I experienced this on my own. I was down in Colombia, and I was there for a couple of weeks, and an event was happening, and I wanted to stay for it. And I called my office. I said, "Listen, I want to stay a couple more weeks." They go ahead. They go, we set a goal to build the business while you're gone. That's great leverage, that they wanted to work on, expanding our business in my absence, because I had a team in there that did not require me to be there. So leverage, to me, is the foundation for freedom.
That's amazing. What were the 5 phases again that you mentioned?
Okay, we start with establishment,
yes,
expansion, leverage, scale, and legacy. Those are the 5 stages of business growth.
Oh, just so we know, there are 5 phases, and you covered that in your book and in your system?
Absolutely.
Excellent. And so, the economy moves and changes so fast these days, and if you could go back in time 10 years and tell your old self one thing, what would it be?
What I told myself, my younger self, if I had listened better, number 1, always operate on a quarterly budget. Review your financial needs and your business needs, and run your practice like a business. If you run it like a hobby, like most people do, it'll cost you like a hobby. If you run it like a business, it'll give you freedom, and it'll pay you like a business for you and your heirs. So really running a fiscally sound, fiscal health is the best advice I ever got, because I had some challenges. I'm human as they come. And I had some challenges. Had I not been running a good financial budgetary type situation, I would have been sunk, a couple of years into it. But I had my reserves. I had all my expenses. Budgeting I called it planned expenses. Most people look at a budget as counting up what they spent last month. I put up in front of myself what I'm willing to spend. And then as soon as I get to that point, everything goes into a reserve account. So budgeting and fiscal health is the foundation for me and for anybody I've worked with to true success.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Bruce. Now we're going to go into some quick fire questions real quick, right? And all I want you to do is share with me what happens, what comes to mind at the top of your head. Are you ready?
Yep.
Awesome. The first question is, what is the best advice you've ever received?
That was the one I just gave you, which was basically operating on a fiscal budget, a quarterly budget.
Excellent. And can you share one of your personal habits that you strongly believe contributes to your success?
To me, what contributes to my success is my burning passion for getting what I want to do done. I was up this morning at 5 o'clock. I've not left my desk since. You're looking at me right now. It's 7 o'clock. So what's that? How many hours I've been here? 12, 13, 14 hours. Do I look fatigued? I'm not, because I'm real passionate, and therefore I've got a list of things I want to get accomplished. I look at I'd rather work. I work to get things accomplished. I don't look at a long daily routines as being drags. I look at creating milestones, and that keeps me juiced. So that's my secret to anything. It's how I started with 13 clinics. I got this idea about taking my message to the world, and I said, okay, I'll just see a lot of people, and I was getting tired doing that. Then I started thinking, okay, I'll open more offices. So I started opening more offices, and I go, wow, that's tough. I'm going to start coaching so I can help. I can have a worldwide impact. So I'm on the same goal today as I was when I first started my practice 43 years ago.
Awesome. And what's one book you would recommend as a must read?
Think and Grow Rich.
That's a very popular one. Thank you so much, Dr. Bruce. Now, can you share a little bit? Let's get a little bit casual right now. So, you look very big. You're very youthful for somebody who's 67, All right. What do you have in your daily routine? What's your health routine that keeps you so youthful?
Number one, I don't eat sugar.
Okay. That's
Number two, I don't eat carbohydrates. And I move every day. And for me, I just despise sickness. And it's crazy. I look at sugar as, if I see somebody eating a candy bar, to myself, instead of going, wow, I'd love to have that, I go, well, that's going to cost that guy a leg. I've changed because, the diabetes, you lose your legs. And I look at things that do not serve me as death. And I look at things that do serve me as life. And I just think that living a life-affirming life is a heck of a lot better than a death-affirming life. I try to do things, like last year, I used to love tequila. I'm kind of a tequila snob. I liked fine, aged tequilas, and that was my thing. I'd drink, a little shot every night, and kind of then I realized one day this stuff's poison. And so even though I loved it, I quit. I haven't had a drop of tequila, and that's something I really love to do. I didn't drink it in excess, but I just drank it every night. But I said, this is poison. Is this life affirming or is this death affirming? I said, well, I don't know if it's death affirming, but certainly it's not going to hurt me to not drink tequila. So I try to make my decisions all based on my passion for living, my passion for travel, my passion for extreme sports. I like moving fast. I like racing cars. I've been racing cars since I was 18 years old. I just like, an exciting life. I just came off 2 weeks down in the Caribbean. So that, to me, is my motivation. I just try to do everything I can do that's going to be, I say I got two questions. I can move forward and towards sickness, or I can move this way towards health. I try to make all my decisions towards health rather than towards sickness. It just keeps me away from eating all the junk. And that's probably why I have I'm real passionate about getting things done. So that keeps me going.
So no sugar, no carbohydrates. Your decision-making process is all about whether it's life-affirming or death-affirming. And I think one thing nobody can ever dispute is that you're very goal-oriented. You always got your eyes on the prize. Make sure you hit those milestones out. That's one of the things that I see, which is a pattern. Like most of the successful people that I interview have that same mindset. We've gone on for quite a while. I'd love, thank you so much for being with us. I think one last question is, if you had 30 seconds left to live, what piece of advice would you give?
I think, this sounds kind of cliche, but I mean it. And I would tell people to live fully every day. Don't live like it's your last, but make sure you get everything out of every day. Don't procrastinate. If you have an idea, don't think about it. Take action on it. I've had so many ideas over my life, that I didn't take action on, that I later watched somebody make $1 million on, the same darn idea I had. So take action. Don't be afraid. If you don't, no action is also action. Action is how you live. So sitting around is taking no action, which is an action. So why not just take pro-action? So I would just tell people to get your passion, find out what it is, and then decide how to live it every day, and then monetize it. Like I have a passion for helping people be healthy. And I just monetize it through my practices, and today I have a passion to help people have more freedom in their life. So I'm monetizing that through my coaching programs. So there's just ways to do that, and we are creators. We are what we can think in our mind. We can make happen in life, and if you really understand that God gave me the ability to think and gave me the ability of free choice. So if I can see it in my mind, I can get creative and figure out how to make it happen in the world. And that's what I do. And that's what I did a lot of things very young. And I was taught that when I was 18 years old, probably some of the best advice I ever got too, which was that I was a creator. And I was taking a course when I was 18 years old by self-hypnosis, and that was the one thing I remembered, and that's probably been one of the strongest influences in my life of knowing, of seeing something that you want, knowing that you can have it, and don't let anything tell you can't, and take action until you have it. And that's how you get it.
Thank you so much for your wisdom, Dr. Bruce. Finally, if people are interested in finding more about you, how can you be reached, and where should they go?
Right now, I have to apologize. We're redoing all of my stuff, but my website's bruceparkerconsulting.com. BRUCE Parkerconsulting.com. It's not in its future state right now, but it's a way of contacting me, and I'd love to speak to anybody. I have a little thing that I do with people. I guarantee them in 45 minutes I can show them how to increase their monthly income from $10,000 to $30,000 in a 45-minute conversation. That's my little game that I play with people when they want to meet me. We look at their business, and I'll uncover $10,000 to $30,000 of recurring income every month in a 45-minute conversation. It's not a magic trick. It's just good business.
That sounds amazing. Thank you so much for investing your time with us. We really appreciate it. Again, we're very humbled, very grateful, very honored to have you on the show. I'm very sure that the audience will get a lot from your wisdom. Thank you so much, Dr. Bruce.
Thank you. I hope so. It's been great meeting you too, and it's an honor for you to call me. So thank you so much, and have a blessed day.
Hey there, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, check out the relevant video here, and don't forget to subscribe to us for more marketing tips, techniques, strategies that are working for us, or just more behind the scenes fun. See ya.